So today we're going to start a new paper, okay? So a lot of you have been asking me to cover a video on writing tips. So what do you do when you're in an exam, and also studying tips. What do you do to study effectively? So I'm going to take you through some parts. So I'll be just discussing some questions and then telling you what I do in order to actually get the answer in the fastest possible way. You might not notice this, but then it's not everything that I know. I did my integrated science well over a decade ago, so I try to recall some of the stuffs and I can give you some of those tips. So just follow through and make sure that you watch till the end of this video, because I think as far as planning is concerned, this is likely to be the most effective video up to now what we have done in primaEd. So the first question, it says this diagram, it shows the internal structure of a leaf. Okay, so you asked which tissue A, B, C, or D does the most photosynthesis. So in which tissue does most photosynthesis take place? So here what I do is I try to identify all these parts here, and when you're revising you should do the same. There's a reason for this. It's not always that they'll ask you a question on which tissue would have the most photosynthesis per se. Sometimes they'll ask you which one is the vein, or which one is the xylem or phloem or something like that. So if you encounter a question like this one, make sure that you take it apart. You actually know each and every part there, so that if they ask you the question in a different way based on the same diagram or based on the same concept, you'd have something to say there. So the here part A, it's actually it's called the upper epidermis. Okay, so part A, you can see this part is common in the top part and then in the lower part as well. So this is the upper epidermis, this is the lower epidermis. Okay, so let me write, this is the upper epidermis. Okay, and this is so this part here is the upper epidermis. This part here, let me make sure that I label it correctly. Here you see they'll label, sometimes they'll label guard cells there, but then essentially this is the lower epidermis. So what you are having there is you just have an epidermis, and epidermis works hand in hand with this layer here. It's called the cuticle. Okay, some call it the waxy cuticle because it's waxy generally in most plants. So you're seeing the cross-sectional area, the cross-section of a leaf right now, and this is the upper epidermis. This is lower epidermis, and this part here, B part, it's called the palisade layer. Okay, palisade layer. So you can say palisade cell or palisade layer. Okay, so the stuff that you're seeing inside here, if you know the structure of a leaf, then you probably guessed it right. This is called a vacuole. Okay, so this is very large. You find large vacuoles in plant cells. That's another difference that you don't see in animal cells. If you find vacuoles in animal cells, which is very rare, they would be like very small. So the stuff, the little stuff that you're seeing there, they are called chloroplasts. Okay, they're specialized organelles. They absorb light energy very well. Okay, so what you're looking for is the part which does the most photosynthesis here, and you'll be answering in terms of the chloroplasts, the concentration per cell. So this also, they're called the spongy cells. This part you see, they're called the spongy cells. Okay, so the spongy, you can say the spongy layer if you want. These cells, they're very spongy. It means they're very irregular in shape, and that's why that's why we call them spongy cells. And this one is the vein. So in the vein you find the xylem and the phloem. Okay, so here you'll be having the xylem and you'll be having the phloem. Okay, so let me answer the question first, and then we continue with discussing on this structure. So that next time when they ask you in a different way, you just know some of the structures that are there. So here the clutch was chloroplasts because they are instrumental in photosynthesis. Okay, so whichever layer or whichever part would do the most photosynthesizing, it would be the layer with the highest concentration of chloroplasts, of which it's this layer here. It's called the palisade layer. Okay, so it's B. B is our answer here. So the B layer, that's the palisade layer, and that's the answer that you're looking for. But what you should be focusing on, at least in general, with this diagram, is each and every part. We discussed the waxy cuticle at the top and at the bottom, and also the epidermis. So these provide structure. They are protective layer. They provide structure to the leaf. So the protective layer, it protects against three things: mechanical injury, it means scratches and all those things that will be happening in the ecosystem. And then it also prevents water loss. So prevents water loss, prevents also infection. Okay, so this layer here, it prevents, we said, water loss, we said infection, and we said the third one we said mechanical injury. So let me just put injury there, it's better. Injury. Okay, so that's the purpose. And then this one, the palisade layer, obviously it's for photosynthesis, just like what we discussed. The spongy layer, it's for photosynthesis as well, but then to a lesser extent. And the reason for this is that the concentration of chloroplasts in each cell, it's lower than the concentration of chloroplasts in a palisade cell. Okay, so and then the on this vein here, this is the vein. If you know you have a leaf, and then in between you find the vein, it's always there. And the vein, it gives support also to it gives structure and support to the leaf, and it also transports water and nutrients. Okay, so you actually find two things there: the xylem and the phloem. In general, the xylem transports water and water soluble molecules. Okay, so anything that dissolves in water, the xylem can transport. It's just concentrating on transporting water. And then the other part, which is called the phloem now, it transports organic molecules and also nutrients. So sugars, proteins, and other organic molecules. So that's what the phloem does. And so yeah, that's it for this question. So you just, if you're, let's say, on Google, you're stuck on this question, what you just do is internal structure of a leaf on Google, and then it should pop up, and then you try now to identify. You should be able to draw this on your own. You should be able to label each and every part there. It's not that hard. What you do is you look at it for a minute, and then you try recreate it on a piece of paper until you can do that. Until you can also label the main parts of the structure. So you're looking at the cuticle, the upper epidermis, the palisade cells, the spongy cells. Sometimes using association, it helps. So for example, spongy cells, they're very spongy. So you actually don't need to know the structure of each one. You just have to make the structure irregular so that you're very speedy in writing your in drawing your diagram. And then also for the vein, it's just this general structure. If you Google some other structure as well, you may find the structure of a vein, which should be easier for you to draw. But then essentially, this is how you study. This is how you do it. If you are just raking through the papers that we are doing, sometimes you may find out it's not just about knowing the answer. It's about knowing also why the other answers were wrong, and also getting to explain some of those things. If you know as much as you can about this leaf, if it comes even in a different way, you'll be in a position to actually answer some of the questions, because they don't always repeat the questions directly. Sometimes it's a variation. So yeah, so let's move on to the next part. Next question says, which cell is specialized for contraction? So which cell is specialized for contraction? So contraction, it'd be muscle cell here. But then let me just explain to you a little bit. This word specialized here, it's a technical term, okay? When we say something is specialized, we mean that it's over time, it's evolved to actually serve a specific function. So it's special. It's special in terms of its structure and also how that structure impacts function. So you realize even in the human body as well, it's also the same thing. Traditionally, we knew that every part of the body was adapted to a specific function, and the only part, it was called the appendix. So this was the only part that for a long time, um okay, I might have butchered the spelling there, but then it's the appendix. But then for a long time people believed that it didn't have serve any function. But then in recent years it was proven that the appendix is actually very important. No, not very important, you can live without it, but then it actually serves a specific function in the body. So every time you analyze the system, there is some design in there. It might not be intentional, but then the design sometimes corresponds to the function. So for the muscle cell is specialized in two ways, okay, two basic ways. One is is for in the is it's for it's got lots of mitochondria. So yeah, so uh, take note of some of these terms here. Mitochondria are the powerhouses of the cell. The little stuff that you find in a cell, they are called organelles. Okay, so organ, and then you know, LES, so organelles. They're called organelles, the little stuff that you find in a cell. And then amongst those organelles, you find mitochondria. These are the powerhouse of the cell. This is where most of the energy is generated. The energy is generated in the form of what you call ATP. Okay, let me write those separately so that you know that these are different. Okay, so it's in the form of a molecule called ATP. So the specialized cell that do this, the specialized organelles that do this, they're called mitochondria. And in muscle cells you need so much energy because it's constantly contracting and relaxing. So that's why we say a muscle cell is adapted for its function. And it also has protein fibers. So protein fibers, it's also another adaptation. So it means the stuff that we're listing here, if we say it's specialized for this, it means the stuffs help in the muscle cell executing its function. So also for sperm is specialized as well. It's just not specialized for contraction. Okay, so sperm is specialized. It has a tail. So the tail is to help it swim. So it's an active process. Okay, so active swimming. It's not necessarily that the sperm is just uh, my bad. Okay, so active swimming. So it's not necessarily that the tail is sperm is just there and then it just gets transported with the semen. No, it also has to swim. So it's adapted for this because it has a tail. Okay, so the other thing is that it has mitochondria as well. So you're familiar now with this. If you take note of this, you realize that sometimes they'll answer the questions differently, and then you'll be in a position to actually answer some of that stuff. So they also have what we call uh, acrosome. Okay, so acrosomes, they're essentially these parts in the head of a cell. Okay, in the sperm head, and what they do is that they produce enzymes that digest the egg membrane. Okay, so the egg for a human is called the ovum if it's one, if it's singular, or it's called the ova. So ovum it's human egg. Okay, so if it's singular, if it's plural, we say ova. So this ovum, what it does now is that it's got its own protective layer as well, because what's inside is very delicate. It stores genetic material there, 23 chromosomes from the mother. So it has that protective layer has to be penetrated. So the acrosome, this one, what it does is that it produces enzymes, enzymes are essentially molecules that speed up chemical processes. Okay, so in these enzymes, they digest this at the egg membrane so that the sperm can enter. So that's it. And then the sperms, the sperm, they're actually produced in copious amounts, so in very large quantities as well. So because it's more or less like a jackpot. So the for red blood cell, it's more or less the same for white blood cell. These are irregular in shape. Okay, so that allows them to enter into, let's say they have to enter through a vein, they have to enter into some parts of you, or something like that, some part of the human body system. They'll be able to penetrate in any way. But then the red blood cell, it's also got what we call hemoglobin. So this is essentially a molecule that absorbs um, oxygen, and it's very good at doing this. It's a chemical process, and it's very good. It's got iron in it. So iron, it's kind of reddish in color. If you have seen someone who got injured, sometimes they smell like coins. So they smell like the smell of blood. It smells more or less like coins, copper coins rather, or just coins in general. Yeah, so the hemoglobin, it's made from that. So yeah, that would be the smell that you'll be experiencing there. And they're also small and flexible. I think we talked about this. Let's quickly move to question 3. Question 3 says overfeeding causes. Okay, so overfeeding is causes obesity. Okay, so obesity, it's actually malnutrition as well. The word malnutrition, the prefix of this word mal, this prefix means the word, that the first part of the word mal, it means bad. If you have Portuguese speaking friends or Spanish speaking friends, if they say es malo, it means it's bad. Okay, mal means bad. So malnutrition simply means bad nutrition. So bad nutrition is not only lack of something, it can also be excess of something. So if you eat too much, you become obese. That's overfeeding, and we call that malnutrition as well. So yeah, so that's it. And then scurvy, it's vitamin C deficiency. Okay, vitamin C deficiency. Deficiency means not having enough vitamin C. If you don't have, if we just keep on, let's say, eating maize cobs every time, you just get starch, and then you get scurvy. Okay, it's very easy to develop. And I think it was in Rick and Morty, where Morty was coming from this neighborhood where they were just eating something else, and then he was saying you thought he was developing a scurvy, and then the treatment there was, he was saying he wanted orange skins. Okay, so orange, oranges, right, the fruits, and then orange skins, it simply means the peels. So I'm not sure if they call them skins. I think they're called peels. So the orange peels, those ones, they are very high in vitamin C. Okay, so it's not advisable obviously to eat them, but then if you're developing scurvy, this is a really cheap and quick fix. Okay, so vitamin C deficiency, that's scurvy. This one, it's iodine deficiency. Sorry, this is iodine deficiency. Then we have anorexia nervosa. So this one, it's generally just deficiency in nutrition. Okay, if you don't have any nutrition or enough nutrition, you become anorexic. So it means you become really, really, really thin. Okay, so thin that sometimes is uncomfortable to see. So yeah, let's continue. So the teeth, which teeth are used for cutting food? Okay, so which teeth are using for cutting food? So there are four types. There are four types of teeth. The front teeth. So the four front teeth, they have their own shape, and they're called incisors. Okay, the four front teeth. They're a little bit bigger than the others, and they're a little bit more rectangular in some cases. Okay, so they're called incisors, and these they're used to cut food. Okay, so if you want to cut food, you use the incisors. And the next set of teeth, they're called the canines. They're only four. So immediately after the incisors, you have the canines there. So at the top, you have two canines. They're the animal teeth, okay? If you actually know the canine family, it's the dog family. And then whenever you think of a dog, they have this protruding teeth. So these protruding teeth, they're there for or most animals that eat other animals so that are predatory, they usually have those. So you look at maybe a lion, cheetah, and all those animals, they have these canine teeth. So we associate them with dogs. They are the animalistic teeth. So we have the molars. The molars, they're 12. So yeah, so this is these ones therefore. Okay, these ones they're 4 as well. I could have shown you the diagram. I don't know where I put some specimen diagrams that I was working with. So the premolar, there are about 8 teeth in any developed adult, of course, and in normal circumstances. And the premolars there, they used to crush food. So if you're asked next time, you may be asked which teeth are used for crushing food. Is the premolar, okay? So and then the molar they used to grind food. That's why I actually have many of them here. And the canine, they're called, they used to tear food. So actually take note of this so that if you're asked any question on this, then you'd know. And then the one extra step that you have to take in order for you to say, okay, now I know almost everything that I used to know about teeth. It's also to associate some of these things with the actual diagram. So find a diagram online. One should be with real teeth, and then one should be an illustration. I think there is one video where we actually covered that part as well. So this one, they are used to cut food, just like what you said. So that's it. Let's move to question 5. Question 5 says the equation for respiration is given below. Okay, so you're even told it's for respiration, but then you're not told, is it aerobic respiration? Is it aerobic? Aerobic means in the presence of air, or is it anaerobic? So you should study both, okay? And then here we have oxygen. So this is the air that I was talking about. So obviously it's aerobic respiration. So whenever we have this is the respiration equation for aerobic, the aerobic case. So we have glucose and oxygen produce carbon dioxide plus P plus energy. So it's water. Okay. Starch, it's certainly not. These two. In anaerobic respiration in humans, they are said to be facultatively, from the word faculty. So from the word faculty, so facultatively anaerobes, it means that humans can survive for a very short space of time without supply of oxygen, or they can respire, or they can generate energy from that. So if you're climbing stairs or something, you may have realized that your knees get weak. So the knees get weak and they become a little bit painful just because of the accumulation of lactic acid. Okay, so because of the accumulation of lactic acid. So lactic acid associated with anaerobic respiration in humans. Okay. So this is what you associate it with. So anaerobic respiration in humans, you'd see glucose here, and then you'd have lactic acid, okay, plus NH. Then here alcohol, anaerobic respiration as well. And you can say in yeast or something else, but then in yeast, definitely, whenever we're brewing beer, that's anaerobic respiration as well. And it happens in yeast, and yeast, they are not facultatively anaerobes, they're actually just anaerobes. They use um, they produce energy in the absence of oxygen, essentially. So that's it. Let's move to the next part. So just know the differences even in respiration as well in humans. So aerobic respiration and aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration in humans, it produces more energy per molecule than anaerobic respiration. And a nod to this is that lactic acid is actually then further oxidized in order to produce excess energy. So yeah, let's move over. So question 6 says, what's the function of the enzyme amylase in digestion? So this enzyme amylase, I think earlier on we touched a little bit on what an enzyme is. It's a protein chemical that accelerates the speed of reaction. Okay, it's called an enzyme, a protein chemical that accelerates the speed of reaction. So let me actually write this. So essentially, it increases the reaction rate. Okay, that's what an enzyme does. And we have enzyme amylase. This one is found in the mouth. Okay, so saliva, and then it's used to break down starch to molecules. Okay, so these two were the tricky ones. So as it starch to sucrose, this is essentially table salt. Okay, table sugar. So it's obviously a macro molecule. It means it's big. But the enzyme, it cuts down starch, which is a macromolecule, which means it's big, to maltose, which is a little bit so yeah, that's it. So we said to break down starch to maltose. It's not this one. This one is table sugar. So let's move over to the next part, which is question 7. Question 7 says, as compared to the aorta, the vena cava. So the vena cava here, this is a network rather, but then this is a very large vein. Okay, essentially. So the vena cava, it's not essentially just singular, but then we say that it's a large vein network. This is the main artery in the human body. So that's why we are comparing this. So essentially, we are comparing the features of an artery and then the features of a vein. And so the vena cava here would be the vein, the large vein. So the large vein has to have a wider lumen. Lumen simply means any time that we have a tube. Say this is a tube. Okay. So anytime we have this, the lumen is the inner part here. So the inner part is called the lumen. So whenever you have let's say an artery will be filled up so much, and then you'd be having some space there, which is very thin. In other words, the walls, there will be more um, muscular, so there'll be more muscular elastic fibers here. This is for aorta, but then for vena cava, it's obviously there will be less because the pressure there in the vein, in the veins, it won't be like comparatively greater. It'd be actually less. So what we expect is for you to have a wider lumen, okay? Because you don't need more muscle inside the vein because you're not dealing with high pressure. This vena cava actually transports deoxygenated blood from the body to the heart, and then this aorta, it takes blood from the heart to the body. So that's why this one is associated with high pressure. So that's why it has to be muscular. The aorta, it has to be muscular, and it also has to have a very narrow lumen. That means that the other part, it's the other radius, the other part of the radius, it's taken up by the muscles of that artery. And the aorta also carries blood under high pressure. So yeah, you can study this too in isolation, but then that's essentially it. Let's move over to question 8. Question 8 says the rate of transpiration is low when there is high what? High humidity. So humidity is the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. So if we have so much moisture in the atmosphere, that means that the concentration gradient. So concentration gradient is low. Remember, water has to move from a place of low concentration to a place of from a place of high concentration to a place of low concentration. So if you set up a humid area, it means that the leaf won't be able to transpire. There won't be any loss of water there because it's already concentrated on the outside. Wind speed, this increases, okay, the rate of transpiration. Temperature, you increase the temperature, you increase the rate of transpiration. Light intensity, same thing, you increase the rate of transpiration. Transpiration is the loss of water in a plant, by the way, through the leaves. So let's move over to question 9. It says wind pollinated flowers have, so they were exposed anthers, okay, they have the insect pollinated flowers, they have enclosed stigma. They almost everything is kind of hidden, and just because the agents there would be the insects, so they'll be coming in, they can uncover that stuff on their own. So they need colorful petals, so that they're very attractive and they stand out in the, let's say, forest or something like that, or in the bush. And then they also have sweet nectar, so that it's an incentive when the bees go there, they can play around the leaf as they eat the nectar. And then their legs, they're kind of feathery, so they get to take up some of the pollen grains and some of the um, gametes, really, and then they can transport them when they go and then later eat from somewhere else. And then that's how we have had this diverse biosystem um, of plants. So yeah, that's it. So these attributes we actually expect all of them of insect pollinated flowers rather. So let's quickly move to the last question for this video. It says which part of the male reproductive system produces sperm? So which part of the male reproductive system produces sperm? So it's actually just the testis. Okay. So the epididymis, it transports sperm from testis to what's difference? So what's difference here? If you what's difference is also the sperm duct. Okay, so this is another way of saying sperm duct. So the epididymis, if you look at the diagram, the diagram for the male reproductive system, you realize that it's there, and what it does is that it connects the sperm, the testis to the sperm duct. Okay, and the sperm duct takes over, of course, and then transports sperm to urethra. Okay, so the sperm duct, it takes from the epididymis, and then it transports that sperm to the urethra. The urethra now, that's the channel, that's the vein that from which we pee. As for men, we use the same thing to ejaculate sperm and also to pee. So it's the same thing. But then for women, it's actually different. Women, they have the urethra, which is separate, the pee hole, and then they have the vagina, which is separate as well. And they have their own functions, though those two, which are distinct. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, and then you could also look up the, as part of your homework, how is the scrotum specialized? You can actually answer this in the comment section. I would love that. For sperm production. Yeah, so look into this and then you tell me. So yeah, that's it. We'll continue from question 11 through 20 tomorrow. This week I think we'll be uploading videos every day. So yeah, cheers, Yubo, out.